Hello again and welcome back. My name is Chris Igwe. I have developed, grown and led many different teams and individuals, allowed them to become amazingly successful in terms of what they have done, and myself on my own journey through things that I have discovered and learned. And the background of this particular journey that we're going to make is using as a backdrop my book called Breaking Down Barriers. It really charts my journey from a small African village to the world stage being either a physical stage where I've had the privilege of speaking in Shanghai, in Los Angeles, in Copenhagen, in Paris, of course, London, Berlin, many other cities. So I've been on the world stage, but I started out like I hope or expect or imagine many of you either at the beginning of your journey or you're well onto it. But I hope this book inspires you, and the words and I'd like to think wisdom that I'm going to share with you enable you to understand more about what your journey is all about. So let's start with a layout, if you like, of the book. I'm not going to describe each and every chapter in terms of the content, because I'd like you to go out and get the book for yourself. Yes, I'm grateful that you buy the book, but more importantly, it allows you to delve into some of those things that I believe are critically important to your success. And that is the ability to look yourself in the mirror, know where you are, know where you want to go, challenge yourself every single day, the choices you make, the decisions you make, the things you don't do, the things you do. All those are part of personal or self-development. They're all part of growth. And no amount of reading, no amount of listening to someone like me is going to change you unless you choose to change yourself. Let me say that again. No amount of reading, no amount of listening or watching me is going to change you unless you choose to change yourself. And that change happens from the inside out. Yes, take the information, take the knowledge, take the insight. Listen to what I have to say. Some people say I dropped the mic, or they drop the mic, or it's a drop the mic moment when I say something. I don't always remember what I say, by the way, but it just comes out because I'm in the flow, I'm in the space, I'm in the vibration. So hopefully something that I say today is going to resonate with you. And I'd invite you to come back to it time and time and time again, because it'll help you. So in this book, I identify reasons to read this book, first of all. Because you might say, well, it's just another personal development book. Yes, but it's written firstly in a very different style. I've taken a philosophy and an idea that has helped me to get to where I am today. I've given a personal story which links to that, so you can see the parallel, and hopefully you can see your own life within that as well. And I give you quotes, because I love quotes, to inspire you. I give you action items. In other words, I don't want you to just read this and go away, put it back. I want you to think about it. Define for you, what are the action steps? What are you going to do to change wherever you are to where you want to be? And then I give you critical thinking questions. Now that's deeper. That is where you have to really spend time digging deep. And as someone said to me, in fact, if I read this today, I presume when I come back in a year or 5 years' time and think about that same question, it'll be different. And I said, absolutely. Because your life will have moved on. You would have moved on. Where will you be? I don't know, in relation to that point or that question or that thought. So critical thinking question is really important. It's not fluffy, it's not woolly. It's like, get down, pen and paper, really think this through. So here are a few reasons to read this book. I say, wherever you stand, just start. You may say, well, I'm too old, I'm too young, I don't have this skill, this ability, whatever. We all started there. I didn't get to be on this global platform today just by stepping out and going, I'm Chris Igwe, I've arrived. It's a journey, which is the second point. The journey may be long, but worthwhile. And I can guarantee you that the journey that I have made to get here is absolutely worthwhile. Quick parentheses, quick story. Colonel Sanders, that we all know, love, don't love, but Kentucky Fried Chicken, KFC. When he started out, firstly, he dropped out of school. Couldn't be bothered with school, went on and did other things, had odd jobs all over the place. By the time he got to about 40, He was then running a restaurant. He was kind of a chef, if you like, and developing his idea around a particular form of chicken. Now, as it turned out, long story short, but he didn't really hit fame, as it were, until he was about 62, when he started taking that recipe and suggesting to restaurants that he was knocking on the door of, saying, would you take my recipe, this 11 herbs and spices that he created in his own format and developed in a kind of pressure cooker style back in the day, which added the succulent nature of what it was. Obviously, it's very different today, I'm sure. But it wasn't until he hit 62. And then eventually at about 75, someone made an offer to him. Allegedly, he could have actually got more money, but he didn't. Anyway, he sold his business. So he started at 40 in a different area from the odd jobs he'd had. 62 or so when he started doing these restaurants and really having something that he could then start to franchise. And then he had his business sold. The point here is it's a journey, literally of 1,000 miles. Colonel Sanders going through the United States, trying to find those who would buy into his chicken in this amazing flavor he'd done. So wherever you are, start the journey. It may take you longer than you want or think, but it's okay. It's part of the process. Dream big, but dreaming big is not enough. You have to invest in yourself, which, by the way, is the topic that we're going to talk about today, because that's my very first chapter. Invest in yourself. Because if you don't invest in yourself, A, nobody else is going to do it. And secondly, if you don't, you're going to miss a huge opportunity. So invest in yourself. I'll come back to that. Travel is the key to success. I absolutely, fundamentally believe that. With my family, we've traveled the globe on holiday, on business, and lived in different countries. So wherever I've moved, I've always taken my family with me. So that's critical. There is no time for regrets. Do not regret anything. So you've got to work on that. If you're someone who goes, I should have done that, wish I'd done that, there's no time for regrets. Mentors help you climb mountains. I've had the most amazing coaches and mentors over my life and my career, and some I still have today. I have to say that they are the greatest assets. They're your minders. They're observing. They're looking out. In the case of mentors, they've done it already. So what are you going to do to acquire that? Taking risks. This is one of my favorite topics, which we'll talk about a little bit further down the road. Take risks. I love this. I love this. Some things are never meant to be understood. You will find moments in life where there are things that are just the most bizarre. You thought you'd nailed that interview. You thought you had it. Whatever. But there's no time to understand what happened. Working hard is a precondition of progress. There are many out there who say, don't work hard, don't work hard, work smart. That's nonsense. I'll tell you now, that is nonsense. You cannot tell me any entrepreneur today, they love what they do, they're passionate about it, but you don't tell me that they are not working as hard. Whether they're in the investment sector and they love doing deals, you might say, well, they're just sitting back and they've got the mind, therefore the deals just happen. No, there's a lot of time and effort and energy, even if it's mental, that goes into that. We all have to work hard on what we love. Having negotiation skills, in my book, is non-negotiable. You must have negotiation skills. And then finally, there are others in there, but finally, family is precious. Never neglect it. Never neglect your family. And I can say that because I'm someone who's traveled a lot. In all my career, I have traveled. I've been on the road 3-4 days a week in, week out, but have and had and still have wonderful relationship with my children, with my wife. And that is so important. How do you do that? Because I've seen many marriages crash and burn, ending up in divorce. Children don't speak to their parents. So I'm privileged and blessed to have all that. So let's go into it then, just very quickly. What I'm going to do is I will, like I say, I won't go through each of these all the way through, because for me, that'll take away the idea that you need to do your own work, because I can't do it for you. But in this case, I am going to read what I'm talking about, and then I'll give you my personal story. But I will not give you each of the personal stories in these talks I'm going to share with you, because to me, that is the icing on the cake. And that is the part where I want you to identify yourself in my story, but then to take it on for yourself. It may not or will not be exactly the same, but there could be a place where in your life you are going through that challenge, struggle, or whatever. So the very first chapter, to kick us off, invest in yourself. I'll read it. I'll stop from time to time just to illustrate the points I want to make. There is no substitute for investing in yourself in order to grow, improve, and achieve the things that you most desire in life. Whether working in the corporate world, running your own business, or raising a family, no one is going to invest in you until you invest in yourself. And even then, it's still possible that no one is going to invest in you, because that's the reality. If you're in the corporate world, and I've been through this, so I can talk about it, your company may decide to invest in you, but you will have to fit their certain criteria of what kind of programs, training, seminars that they want you to attend, because they want to know that that time that you've spent in that seminar, that workshop, that training is going to help in their business and improve you in their business. So it's their agenda, guys. It's their agenda. It's not yours. What they propose will be tailored to their needs and not necessarily yours. However, by investing in yourself, you devote time and energy to studying and learning from others. You may invest financially by paying for your travel, your accommodation, your subsistence, and attending courses, seminars, and training programs. This learning can take years. It may even be your entire life. And quite frankly, it should be your entire life of learning. It is a journey. So why doesn't everyone do this? That's the question I ask you. Why doesn't everyone do this? There are different reasons. But one of them is, as the saying goes, when the student is ready, the master appears. When the student is ready, the master appears. Are you ready? Are you a student? Have you put it out there? Are you wanting more for yourself? You must be ready. You need to make the conscious effort to want to change, to want to grow, to want to become whatever you are seeking. Only then will you be ready. So that's the question. That could be a critical thinking question. It's not actually in this book, but it could be. Are you ready? And that's where you then take pen to paper and you say, yes, no, do I? And then you'll start putting maybe the reasons that it's preventing you and those which need to help you move along. The key is to have the windows of your mind fully open. You have to be fully open to receive new ideas and new thinking. So that's what I describe in terms of invest in yourself. Some thoughts for you to go away and dig up and wrestle with and struggle with and so on. Then I have a quote in there from Abraham Maslow in this case. One can choose to go back towards safety or forward towards growth. Growth must be chosen again and again. That's what I said earlier. You'll continue to grow. I haven't stopped growing. I want to continue growing. I want to keep learning. He says growth must be chosen again and again. Fear must be overcome again and again. So you have these two things. You've got growth. You want to grow, but fear is pulling you back. Wrestle with it, keep on going. And your growth has to be the one that conquers in this situation. And then I go through my personal story. And my personal story, just very quickly, is I can't remember exactly when I got into the personal development field, but reading about leaders in their words always fascinated me. At school, I was at the International School in Geneva. I studied contemporary history. So I studied people like Winston Churchill. I studied people like Adolf Hitler or Khrushchev or Fidel Castro in Cuba. That was my generation. So people who, especially Khrushchev, who were part of the Cold War, if you like. There was this whole challenge in the Cold War, as we used to know it, between the Western world and the Soviet Union, as it used to be known. I studied all this because I wanted to know, I wanted to get in the minds of these thinkers, these people who were able, and I do say in here, some leaders were great and there were those who were tyrants. So whoever you see as a tyrant in modern day world or back in those days, how did they capture and captivate? How did they, by oratory, by speaking, by connecting? Obviously, one of the better ones is Martin Luther King. How did Martin Luther King make that amazing statement, that amazing speech that's captivated generations? Then on the flip side, you have someone of a nature that we know in Nazi Germany, for example. How did a Hitler managed to captivate people and speak and communicate to them in a language that they needed to hear. I'm not here for comparisons. I'm simply here to say this was about me wanting to be a leader. I knew from a young age, I was told from a young age by my parents that I already wanted to lead. So I knew that I was going to end up being a leader, but I wanted to be a true leader, and I wanted to be a leader that could take us to a whole different level. So that's where I started. I started reading the likes of Tony Robbins, well famous in the field of personal development and growth, Peter Thompson in the UK. I read books from the famous Dale Carnegie book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I also acquired books from people less well known, like Mark McCormack, who actually created the legendary IMG Group, which is all about sports entertainment. He took that whole sporting industry of taking sportsmen and women, making sure they were properly protected with the right kind of contracts, and then whole imagery onto TV and sponsorship and advertising and everything else. He was the founder of that. His book, What They Don't Teach You at Harvard Business School, was just fascinating, just blew my mind. So I read lots of books. I have books behind me. I have books in front of me. I have books upstairs, some of which, if not many of which, I actually leave as lists and ideas in the book as well. I attended seminars, training programs, workshops with the biggest and the greatest and the most well-known in the sector, the Bob Proctors, the Jay Abrahams, the Mark Victor Hansons, the Doug Weed, who was advisor to George W. Bush, I think it was, back in the day, who we had the chance to connect with, Laura Langmeyer, Bill Gove, Steve Siebold, many greats and legends in the industry, Peter Thompson as well, Jack Black from Scotland. I just sought to really acquire as much knowledge, information, and insight as I could to take me to a whole different level. Was it cheap? No, absolutely not. I haven't calculated, but I did a few years ago, a quick calculation. I've spent six figures, whatever currency you want to use, doesn't matter, pounds, euros, dollars, six figures of my own money. Back to my point about the company is not going to invest in you. A company would rarely, unless you are CEO or C-suite level, pay that level of investment in you, and even accumulated over different companies you might work for. It's not going to happen. So you have to say, this is my Olympic flame. I am carrying this flame as far and as fast as I can because I want to be the best. In my case, the leader. I wanted to be the best possible leader, not only of myself and my family, but also the teams that I was able to help to grow. I also say in here, I have no regrets about the level of investment that I put in there, because I know that today I am not only a leader, but I'm considered a global thinker and a global leader. Those are not my words. Those were given to me. I take them now. You'll see them on my social media. But people have said to me, you have the most incredible black book, the most incredible network across the globe, across my industry, because I've worked at it. I talk about networking in the book, which is really important. How do you network? How do you grow? How do you establish those foundations? How do I come to be a leader in my field of working with some of the greatest companies in their field? All those have been a privilege. Those are the insights. So in wrapping this up, quickly, the action items. So here's one, for example. Ask yourself, what is the worst that can happen if you decide to invest in yourself? What is the worst that can happen if you decide to invest in yourself, both in terms of time and purchasing tools and services that will help you grow? And the advantage we have today, which I didn't have before, is, of course, we have internet. There are training programs that you can do, many of which are free of charge. But I'll caution you, anything that's free is free, okay? In other words, you don't get the nuggets, the depth. If, for example, you said to yourself, this book, yeah, Chris, great, fantastic. I'm going to follow you through these videos and I will learn what I need to learn. That's okay. That's a start, but that's the surface. Unless you buy this book, and you may say, I don't want to invest in the book, that's okay. That is a choice. That is a choice that you make about your future. It's not mine. So if you don't want to invest in the book, and I'm not here pleading with you to buy the book, by the way, I'd love you to buy it. Those who've bought it have sent me incredible testimonials, which I'm so grateful for. They don't know me. I don't know them. They've taken pictures of it where they are. They found me on social media or whatever and sent me an image and then said how much it has changed something in their life or spoken to them about something. But my point is, if you're not going to invest in yourself, you are not going to grow. Simple. It's not even maths. It's just the reality. No investment, no return. In the jargon, there's what's called return on investment, ROI. It's a technical term, but it's a term about I invest money. You go to the bank and you decide to put money into your account, into your savings account. There is a return on that investment. It's not an investment in that sense, but you put the money in and you want something to come back. In this case, you put money into a book, you buy some thoughts and ideas, you listen to what I have to say, and then you put it into your own word and language. But my point here is, if you don't invest time and money, you will not grow. And then I leave you with a critical thinking question. And here it is. How much further along my path would I be if I invested in myself? So I want you to ask the question to yourself. I'm not saying to you how further along the path would you be? No, I want you, when you ask yourself this question, you put yourself in it and you say to yourself, how much further along my path would I be if I invested in myself? Simple question. But trust me, that requires deep, deep thought. So I hope I've left you with some ideas and some thoughts, and I hope, most importantly, that I've challenged you to challenge yourself, because that's what we want to do on this journey together, which I hope you will be on for the weeks or months or years. I don't know. We'll see where this goes. I just take it one session at a time. So until the next time, I wish you all the very best, and I hope that something has resonated with you, pricked you somewhere, poked that bear in you, and you're going, I want to do this, or even more, I can do this. So until the next time, take care.